A secret operation buried in history, a hidden network, uniting two nations. History is written by the victors, but what about the untold stories, the hidden heroes whose names were erased from the pages of time? There's a secret network buried deep in the history of China and Korea, a covert underground railroad that helped Korean resistance fighters during Japan's brutal occupation. What if I told you that Chinese civilians risked everything, their lives, their families, their futures, to help their Korean neighbors fight for freedom? This is a story few know, but it's time to bring it into the light.
Today, we're uncovering one of the greatest hidden stories of resistance in Asia. Stay with me as we dive into the secret underground railroad of China, where heroes fought in the shadows.
Imagine this, it's the early 1900s. The Japanese Empire has taken control of Korea, ruthlessly suppressing anyone who dares to rise up. In the face of overwhelming military power, Korean independence fighters are cornered, but they have an unlikely ally. A secret network of Chinese civilians, merchants, and activists. People who shared no blood but who shared a deep sense of justice. Underground tunnels, hidden safe houses, false identities. These Chinese civilians risked everything to help Koreans escape capture, transport supplies, and even deliver coded messages across enemy lines.
What's more, the Japanese military had no idea this network even existed, right under their noses. Stick around, because in this episode we're breaking down how this secret railroad operated and why it was so crucial to Korea's fight for independence.
To understand how this underground railroad came to be, we need to look at the bond between China and Korea during one of the most turbulent times in East Asian history. China itself was in turmoil. The Qing dynasty had collapsed, and warlords were battling for control. But even in the midst of their own struggles, ordinary Chinese citizens were moved by the plight of the Koreans. This wasn't just about politics, it was about humanity. It started with Chinese merchants and civilians who lived near the borders. They began offering food, shelter, and money to Korean rebels fleeing the Japanese military. These civilians knew the landscape better than anyone. They built hidden pathways, used secret codes, and formed alliances that could slip right past Japanese patrols.
This wasn't a well-funded military operation. This was people helping people. Some were revolutionaries themselves, while others were everyday farmers and traders who saw the brutality of the Japanese forces and couldn't stand by.
But this underground network wasn't just a one-way road. Chinese civilians also helped smuggle Korean fighters back into Korea, disguised as Chinese workers. They provided food, money, and most importantly, information, giving the resistance the upper hand in planning attacks. Imagine the tension, the fear. A wrong word, a slip-up, and an entire family could be executed by the Japanese. But still, they persisted, because they believed in a shared future, free from oppression.
Let me share with you the story of one of these unsung heroes, a Chinese merchant named Liu Ming. He owned a small shop near the Korean border, and for years, he hid Korean resistance fighters in his home, using his trade routes to transport secret messages and weapons. One day, the Japanese caught wind of his activities. Instead of running, Liu Ming risked his life, leading the soldiers on a false trail deep into the mountains, buying enough time for his Korean allies to escape. Liu never made it back home, but because of his sacrifice, the resistance movement continued, and his story became legend among the freedom fighters. Liu Ming, a name erased from official history but remembered in the hearts of those he saved.
This secret network of Chinese civilians may never be featured in textbooks, but their contributions to Korean independence are immeasurable. They remind us that true heroism often goes unnoticed, that ordinary people can make an extraordinary difference.
So why is this story important today? It's a reminder that in the darkest times, solidarity and compassion can ignite change. And just like these hidden heroes of the past, we too can stand for justice, no matter the odds. If this story moved you, if you believe that these unsung heroes deserve to be remembered, then share this video with the world. Let's bring their stories out of the shadows. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an untold story like this one. Let's keep the memory of these brave civilians alive.
No spoken lines. Title, dedicated to the unsung heroes of history.